Okay, picture this. A huge celebrity confession hits the news. It's country star Jelly Roll. And he's tearfully admitting to what he called one of the worst moments of my adulthood, cheating on his wife, Bunnie X.
Right. And on the surface, it looks like this incredibly raw, vulnerable moment. Therapeutic almost.
Exactly. But what if that wasn't the real story? What if, behind the scenes, this was actually, well, a masterfully timed, multi-stage PR campaign, all designed to tee up his wife's memoir coming out in 2026?
It points toward an incredible example of narrative control, taking this potential crisis, this trauma, and immediately flipping it into essentially pre-sold intellectual property.
It's cynical, maybe, but you have to admit it seems incredibly effective. Welcome to Starscope Report. We're the place that breaks down these stories, the ones that look like pure drama but might just be high-level marketing playing out in public.
That's right. And today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that, the mechanics of celebrity vulnerability.
We're focusing specifically on how Jelly Roll, Jason DeFord, and his wife Bunnie XO, Alyssa DeFord, handled this whole situation back in October 2025.
Our mission here is to really map out how they took this past infidelity, something potentially damaging, and turned it into a major asset for their brand today.
And here's the biggest piece we need to untangle, something that makes this whole thing fascinating. You might remember, for years, this couple was pretty open about having, well, an open marriage during the exact period this affair supposedly happened.
A huge contradiction.
Huge. So we're going to show you how just a few months before this big confession, they strategically pivoted hard. They reframed that same period as a time of devastating betrayal. It perfectly set the stage for the whole redemption story we saw unfold. Okay, let's start with the confession itself, October 2025. Now, crucially, this didn't leak. No tabloid got the scoop. Jelly Roll delivered the news himself on a podcast. Human School.
Yeah, and that choice of venue, that's the first big flag for strategic control. Human School is all about mental health, growth, overcoming things.
Right, so not exactly TMZ.
Not at all. By choosing that platform, the admission was immediately framed. It wasn't salacious gossip. It was presented as, like, a therapeutic act, taking accountability. He got to define the narrative right from the start.
And he called it his ultimate moral low point, right?
Yeah.
That exact phrase, one of the worst moments of my adulthood was when I had an affair on my wife.
Exactly. He set the terms. But the strategy didn't stop there. He immediately started assigning blame.
Blame. To who?
To his old self.
Yeah.
He very deliberately linked the infidelity to his past life. You know, the addiction, the crime. Yeah. The whole backstory his fan base already knows and celebrates him for overcoming.
Ah, okay. So connecting it to the part of him they've already forgiven.
Precisely. That's the key move for protecting his current brand. If it was a new affair happening now, that suggests a current moral failing. But by saying, essentially, this happened back when I was doing cocaine, Xanax, hanging with horrible humans, his words, he files it under past sins.
It's like saying the guy you see today, the sober, redeemed guy. He wouldn't do that. That was the addict.
And that allows his audience, who are deeply invested in his redemption story, to absorb this news without it shattering their image of him. It fits the existing narrative.
So the forgiveness is almost baked in.
And then comes the payoff, the final part of the arc. He didn't just apologize. He used the struggle, the pain they supposedly went through, as proof of their current strength as a couple. He wrapped it up by saying, "I'm proud of who we are today."
Wow. So the past failure becomes the literal foundation for their strong marriage brand now.
Transformed. From liability to asset.
Okay, so Jelly Roll manages to frame it perfectly for himself, but that confession, it immediately put Bunnie X in a really tough spot. Right?
Oh, absolutely. The public focus, the criticism, it pivoted straight to her. People questioning why she stayed, challenging her judgment, even attacking her status as a role model, as an influencer.
Which is core to her whole brand. She's built this persona of being a strong, independent voice.
Exactly. So she couldn't afford to look weak or like a victim. She had to defend not just her marriage, but her entire business identity, really.
And she found the perfect springboard, didn't she? A specific comment from a fan.
Yes, she screenshotted this comment that was pretty harsh. It directly questioned her strength and told her to hop away. Something like, "We can't look up to you now. Dear Lord, provide Bunnie the strength to hop away."
Ouch. So was that comment just lucky timing? Or do you think they were maybe waiting for something like that?
Well, whether it was completely organic or maybe strategically amplified, it served her purpose perfectly. It gave her a clear enemy, the judgmental online critic, to push back against.
Okay. And her response, her clapback on Instagram, You're saying it wasn't just about defending staying with him.
No, not primarily. It was a masterclass in brand defense, broken down into basically 4 key moves. It was about repositioning her in the narrative.
Okay, let's break that down. What was the first move? How did she reframe staying?
First, reframing strength. She completely flipped the script on the critic. She argued that staying, facing the pain head-on, doing the work, that takes real strength. Running away or gossiping, that's the easy, weaker option.
Ah, positioning staying as the heroic choice. Making it about work and empowerment, which really resonates with her audience.
Exactly. Then second, she brought in a spiritual angle, elevating to grace.
Grace, how so?
She explicitly said, growth isn't weakness, it's grace. Now this ties directly into the couple's very public, recent pivot towards Christian faith. It adds this whole other layer.
Right, so it's not just a personal choice, it's aligned with a higher spiritual principle. It kind of shields her from purely secular judgment.
Precisely. Then comes the third step, which is a bit more pointed.
Okay.
Establishing elite fortitude. She basically said, but not everyone's built for that kind of strength.
Ooh. So implying the critics just aren't strong enough to understand or do what she did.
Absolutely. It elevates her.
Yeah.
She didn't just defend her choice. She positioned herself as having a kind of emotional capacity that her detractors lack. It's quite assertive.
Definitely. And the ending, the classic, bless your heart.
Yes, the compassionate dismissal. She finished with something like, I pray you never have to feel that pain, BC, you're judging another woman's life. It sounds empathetic on the surface.
But it's dripping with judgment back at them, like you just don't get it.
Exactly. It performs empathy while subtly judging the critics for their perceived ignorance or cruelty. So the whole response package solidifies her image. She's the strong one who did the hard work. The critics are just spectators who couldn't handle it. Brand protected, maybe even enhanced.
Okay, that analysis of her response makes perfect sense. But we still have this huge elephant in the room, right? This whole 2025 story hinges on devastating infidelity, betrayal. Yet, if you go back just a few years, 2018 to 2020 maybe, they were publicly talking about having an open marriage. During the exact same time frame this affair supposedly occurred. How does that work?
It's the core contradiction, and it's massive. It could completely blow up the neat redemption narrative they just built. We have actual quotes, right? Jelly Roll around 2018 saying, my wife and I openly invite women into our relationship.
Yeah. And Bunnie, on her own podcast, Dumb Blonde, in 2020, saying something like, if I want to sleep with another guy, I can go sleep with another guy. Like, that's not a problem. That sounds, well, completely opposite to a devastating betrayal.
It is the exact opposite. And that's why the strategic pivot before the confession was absolutely essential. They had to erase that part of their public history.
The July 2025 video.
Exactly. July 2025, just 3 months before the confession drops. Bunnie releases this video specifically to shut down open marriage rumors. That was the moment they cleaned the slate.
How did she frame it then? Did she just deny they ever said those things?
She blamed it on, like, recycled online clips, spun around to be misleading, and then she delivered the new official line. We are not in an open relationship. We have completely stopped all of those shenanigans. We love Jesus, and that is why we have changed the uniform of our relationship.
Wow, a complete rewrite. Changing the uniform of the relationship. And didn't she explicitly say something like it was never really open anyway?
She did. She performed a full public retcon, retroactively changing the story. She claimed, it was never open for us to have to close it. It's like a company deleting inconvenient past statements before a merger. It just wiped years of their own public comments off the board.
Okay, so they erased the open marriage narrative to make space for the simple infidelity story. But if we assume the affair was real, and it did cause pain, how do we reconcile that with the idea that other partners might have been okay back then?
This is where the deception versus sex theory likely comes in. It's probably the key.
Deception versus sex, meaning?
Meaning their open phase probably had rules. It was likely about casual encounters, maybe communicated beforehand.
Yeah.
Bunnie herself mentioned their one rule was basically, don't lie to me, don't do stuff behind my back.
Okay, so the betrayal wasn't necessarily the sex itself.
Which might have been technically permissible under whatever rules they had back then.
But the fact that this affair, reportedly with an ex, was apparently a year-long thing kept secret involving lying, that broke the actual rule, the trust rule.
Precisely. Lying, secrecy may be the emotional depth of it. That's the likely betrayal. But here's the PR calculation, explaining that nuance. Permitted sex versus forbidden emotional secrecy. It's too complex for a mainstream news cycle.
Right. People understand cheating in a very simple way.
Exactly. So the 2025 strategy, simplified. Erase the messy open marriage history. Present the affair as a straightforward, universally understood sin. It fits perfectly with their newer, more conservative, mainstream brand identity. Much cleaner.
It's genuinely wild to watch a couple publicly dismantle years of their own established narrative like that,
Mhm.
all seemingly for a product launch. Which brings us right to it. The why now? Why go through all this complex narrative cleanup and this big public confession in October 2025?
Well, all signs point directly to the long game. Bunnie's memoir, Stripped Down, Unfiltered and Unapologetic, which was announced for February 2026.
So the confession was basically pre-promotion.
In their specific branding model, yes. It's fascinating. A confession isn't a liability. It's treated as an asset. It functions as what you could call a content deposit into their authenticity bank.
A content deposit into the authenticity bank. Okay, break that down. What does that mean for their brand?
It means the currency they trade in, what connects them to their audience, is this image of radical authenticity, of vulnerability. Their fans value stories of struggle and overcoming that struggle.
Right, that's central to Jelly Roll's appeal especially.
Exactly. So by confessing the affair, Jelly Roll reinforces how real and vulnerable he is. It paradoxically strengthens the bond with the audience. It makes them feel closer, more invested.
And therefore more likely to buy the book where they get the whole story.
Precisely. Vulnerability becomes currency. The October drama wasn't a crisis to be managed. It was essentially a highly effective, emotionally charged teaser trailer for the memoir. It had to be coordinated.
Okay, so looking back, you can almost see the steps laid out.
Absolutely. You can map it as a clear four-step PR campaign leading up to that February 2026 launch.
Step 1, July 2025. The narrative pivot. Bunnie cleans up the open marriage talk, prepares the canvas.
Step 2, October 2025, the controlled confession. Jelly Roll defines the sin, links it to his past on a sympathetic platform.
Step 3, immediately after, also October 2025, the strategic response. Bunnie takes the criticism, flips it, establishes her strength and virtue, victim to heroine.
And the crucial step 4, the call to action. Woven right into her response, Bunnie explicitly promises the real story, the deep emotional details, the struggle, the work. That's all coming in the 2026 book.
Drive engagement, drive headlines, drive pre-orders.
It guarantees massive media interest, deep audience investment, and ultimately high sales for Stripped Down. They successfully engineered a major promotional event out of their own past personal drama, #outro. So when you pull back and look at the whole sequence, the story of this affair, it's not just personal history anymore. It's become this deliberate piece of multi-platform intellectual property.
Wow.
Yeah, carefully crafted to drive book sales and, maybe just as importantly, solidify this newer, more conservative, mainstream-friendly brand identity they've been building. They literally turned past relationship trauma into marketing gold.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe this is the final thought for you listening at home. When celebrities get this good at turning their past trauma, their pain, into a strategic marketing campaign that actually strengthens their brand and drives sales, does that idea of radical authenticity even mean anything anymore?
Or does it just become radical monetization?
Something to chew on. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we dig into the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.